Okay. Hello, everyone. It's 7:05. Good evening and welcome to this session. I had earlier mentioned that we're going to start at 7:05. I see we have about a third of the expected class attendance. So we're just going to start, okay? It's a good time to also then check on your fellow scholars that are not on the call. You can just scroll through the attendance, the participant list, sorry, to see everyone on the call, and then buzz your fellow participants, your fellow scholars that are not on the call just yet to join it because we're about to start. Okay, but good evening and welcome. My name is Chine. I believe we're all familiar with my face and my voice at this time. But for the purposes of this conversation, please confirm that you can hear me and that you can see my screen, okay? Please confirm that you can hear me. I want to see a thumbs up or a comment in the chat box. So you can do a thumbs up confirming that you can hear me and you can see my screen, okay? Sharon, I'm assuming that you've raised your hand to indicate that you can hear me, you can see my screen. So we're going to start off with this soft skills session. If you do have questions, yes, so please feel free to put them in the chat box, or you can keep them in your notes. We're going to have a session for question and answer towards the end of have about an hour to do this. So we're going to get right to it. All of the hands that are raised, I see you, but we are not going to take questions at this time. So please keep your questions and we can come back to them during the Q&A part of the program. Okay, so here's what our agenda looks like today. Today we're just going to, of course, welcome everyone. 3 weeks ago, we had the orientation session, formally welcome you to YPSP 3.0, the Tech Business Edition. And in the last 2 weekends, you've had your technical sessions. So I'm going to check in and I'd like to find out how those sessions were, all right? Our Okay, apologies, guys. I think I was out for a couple of seconds. I apologize. I think I was out for a bit. Yes, but I'm back now. So I'm going to ask you to please confirm that you can hear me again. I apologize. I think I was out for a few seconds. Okay, fantastic. Seems like you can hear me now. All right, so before I dropped off the call for a couple of seconds, I wanted to do a check-in to see how our technical sessions went for the last 2 weekends. So I'm going to need feedback. I would have asked for us to unmute and speak to it, but I'm checking our time, and I really like for us to end on the dot of 8 o'clock. So what I'm going to ask is that I'd like to see feedbacks in the chat box, one person from each of the cohorts, okay? One person from business analysis, one person from data analysis, and one person from UI UX design using Figma. In one or two sentences, just share a feedback of how the last 2 weekends have been for you in the chat box, okay? And I'm going to read that out. I'm going to read out the comments in the chat, so I'm watching out for that. And while I give you time to type that in, I'm just going to run through the rest of the agenda so that once I'm done with that, I can then come back to read the feedback or the comments that you have shared in this session, all right? One person from UI UX design using Figma, one person from data analysis, one person from business analysis. Just tell us how the last 2 weekends have been for you in one or two sentences, key highlights essentially. Okay, so while I wait to read your comments, I'll just run through the rest of the agenda. So we're going to go into the next slide, will show us a brief overview of what this soft skills session is about. And of course, we're going to go into the training proper. We're looking into productivity and adaptability and how that enhances our performance, our efficiency and effectiveness, because all of these things that we're doing is to build us into becoming better professionals, right? Both on the personal and on the professional angle. And then we'll have the Q&A session, and then we will have an attendance update. We will see how we are faring and how we are tracking, so that if you need to gear up, you would gear up, all right? I had mentioned at the orientation session that the only set of people that will be receiving a certificate of attendance for this program, that's YPSP 3.0 Tech Business Edition, will be those that met the criteria. And part of that criteria is the 70% attendance cumulatively. All right. So what we're going to do today is to show you how you have fared attendance-wise for the technical sessions that happened in the last 2 weekends. Of course, today's attendance will be taken as well. And then subsequently, the mentorship sessions that would happen once a month for the next 3 months will be part of that attendance report. And then at the closeout, we will see how everyone fared and those that will be receiving the certificate of participation, okay? Please keep the comments coming in. I see a comment from Philip from data analysis cohort. I'm going to read that shortly. But yes, running through the rest of the items on the agenda. After we take the attendance update, we will then walk through what is next in terms of what you should expect for the rest of the program. And we would take I would take any other questions or comments or feedback that you have, all right? So if you have questions on the soft skills session, we will take that at the Q&A part of the program. That's item 4 on the agenda. And then if you have general questions just on the program, we will then take that at the end after the what's next item on the agenda, okay? I see a comment from Philip from data analysis. He says it was bulky, exciting, and very educating. I'm happy to hear that, Philip, and hopefully you've learned a number of things that you can then take in, build in towards, you can then use in building up your professional career pathway. I see another comment here from Temitope and Jorin. UI UX design using Figma was truly exceptional, providing valuable insights and practical skills. Mr. Muritala's expertise and engaging teaching style made it an enriching experience. God bless Binet and God bless Mr. Muritala. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Temitope, for sharing that feedback. Temitope and Philip. So data analysis and UI UX, they are well represented. BA class, your faculty is going to hear that you did not represent him, or did he not do an excellent job, or did he not do, were there comments and feedback from that class? Because I'm not seeing any I'm not seeing any feedback from any of the folks in the BA class, but we're going to get right to it, okay? And we're just going to go into a brief overview of what we expect in our session today. We're talking about the subject of productivity and adaptability. And for us as professionals that are looking to build careers, we're starting at that point where we're trying to map out our professional journey and then build ourselves as we embark on that journey. It's very important that we're productive, and it's also very important that we're able to adapt. These times and these seasons are one that is meant for professionals that are able to adapt to changing times and circumstances. COVID happened 4 years ago, and we saw how that affected work globally. And of course, all that is happening today as a fallout of that one, and of course, as a fallout of all the other economic impacts, all the other economic things and situations that we have, not just in Nigeria, but globally. So today we're going to look at how we can be better productive and adaptable professionals, and just a couple of indices that can help us have these conversations. There's a research based off Harvard Business Review that tells us that productive employees are 40% more likely to receive promotions and career advancement opportunities. All right. So just looking at the benefits of productivity in the workplace. All right. Because again, this conversation today is trying to encourage us to be productive professionals, but then it will be wise and to be great for us to see how that has helped other professionals who are already being productive, who are adapting to changing situations and changing circumstances, not just in their work environment, but globally, of course. And so this insight from a Harvard Business Review is very important. And there's also a LinkedIn survey that has indicated that employees with strong adaptable skills experience a 39% increase in job satisfaction. Of course, you know that when you're trying to transition, when you're trying to make career transitions, there are skills that we call transferable skills. Most of these transferable skills are dependent on your ability to then adapt into the new role that you're transiting to if you're making a career transition. All right. So this LinkedIn survey has just told us that employees with strong adaptable skills experience a 39% increase in job satisfaction. So essentially, they are working at jobs that they are satisfied doing, jobs that they want to do. Okay. And of course, we see professionals, a Forbes article that holds that professionals that are demonstrating adaptability, they build 34% stronger professional networks. So professional networks in terms of the people that they can leverage, they can rely on within their professional community. And of course, there's a career builder article that tells us that highly productive professionals are 28% more likely to be considered for leadership positions, because essentially the reward for good work is more work. When you do something and you do it efficiently, you do it well, the reward for that is you are then recommended for a promotion or leadership promotion or a leadership position. So essentially, productive professionals are 28% more likely to be considered for leadership positions. And of course, Forbes article that tells us that individuals who prioritize productivity skills are 25% more likely to achieve their goals. Why we have just highlighted these indices and these numbers is for you to see, and of course, quoting the sources as well so that you can go back and do your checks, is for you to see the impact that productivity and adaptability has in fostering a much more effective professional relationship, a much more job satisfying job satisfaction essentially for the employee or the career professional. All right. So again, let's then dive deep into what productivity and adaptability is all about so that we can then get right into the conversations. But before we get into it, let me see comments. When you hear about productivity, what comes to your mind? I want to see, because this is also an interactive session. When you hear about adaptability, what comes to your mind? I'm just going to go into the chat box and read the comments. Oh yeah, okay. Finally, we have someone, Esther from Business Analysis Cohort, representing her cohort. Thank you so much, Esther, for the feedback. It's been an engaging and valuable time. Mr. Richards obviously did an amazing work with your cohorts. And we have someone else from the UI US class, John, of course, commending the facilitator. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for the feedback. All right, so productivity and adaptability, what comes to your mind? Give me keywords, not sentences, keywords, phrases. What comes to your mind? Let me see them in the chat box. Productivity, adaptability, what comes to your mind when you hear that? All right, let's go. Let's do this, guys, so that we can move on. When you hear about productivity, I'm not asking you to define it. So when you just hear about productivity, what comes to your mind? What's the word or what's the phrase that comes to your mind? And when you hear about adaptability, what's the word or what's the phrase that comes to your mind? Temitobe says efficiency and flexibility. Fantastic. I love that, because productivity actually hinges on efficiency. And we're going to see that, as we take the conversations for that. Thank you. Efficient delivery. This is from, let me scroll this up. Esther. Thank you, Esther. I have a Blessing says result is what I think about when I hear about productivity. Thank you, Blessing. That's the results. And then we talk, because effectiveness actually speaks to the results, your output. And Daniel says effectiveness and okay, effectiveness, that should be for productivity, and then adjusting or being able to adjust should be for adaptability. Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. Abubakar says productivity equals more yield. Amazing, amazing, amazing. You guys are the best. Esther again says adaptability, versatility, agility, being able to pivot as needed. I love that, because that you are adaptable means that you are able to pivot as needed in the face of changing situations and circumstances. You are able to pivot. You're right. You're able to show up as is required. She says here, doing it however it is required. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Celebrate you guys. I celebrate you guys. Thank you so much. I love these responses that I am seeing. Adaptability is going beyond your comfort zone. Okay. Thank you. Let's get right into it. I love these responses. It tells me that I am with the right set of people. You guys are amazing, by the way. All right. So when we talk about productivity, Amoto says productivity means achieving higher output quality with the same input. All right. And that is just going to feed into what I have on my next slide, because productivity speaks to your output to input ratio. All right. Your output in terms of the input that you have taken in, right? What you are showing with what you have taken in, your effectiveness and your efficiency in accomplishing the task that you have been given. Effectiveness to the results. Efficiency speaks to the utilization of resources, the proper utilization of resources to accomplish that result. Okay, so essentially it shows you your output to input ratio in terms of you taking an input, factoring all of the resources that you have and using them efficiently to deliver an output, all right? Okay, so it indicates how efficiently resources like time, labor, and capital are used to produce the desired results. So essentially, that's what productivity is about, a measure of your efficiency and your effectiveness. Remember, we said that effectiveness deals with the result and efficiency deals with you utilizing the resources. So some of the resources quoted here, we have time, we have labor, we have capital. All right, quickly on the next page, we're going to look at adaptability. Some of us have shared amazing insights in the chat box on what adaptability is about, but essentially, like we have said, being able to just evolve and thrive in the face of changing events and circumstances. And I don't think we have ever witnessed a more changing set of events and circumstances than what is happening in the world that we're living in right now. both personally and professionally. I know that if I ask us what have happened for us in the last 1 week on a personal basis, we will see that there's been a lot of evolution in terms of things have changed. Even some things that you didn't expect to happen have happened. And so also professionally as well, there are some global layoffs that are happening globally, not just in Nigeria, right? There are organizations that are just trying to just tweak their business models. Others are trying to tweak their organization or organogram just to, better efficiently use the resources that they have at their disposal. So adaptability speaks to your ability and your willingness as a professional, as a career person, to just modify and thrive in the face of these changing events and circumstances. So that means you are upskilling yourself. That means that you are then keeping yourself up to speed in terms of what is happening in your career, in your domain, in your subject area of expertise, and of course, all of the important skills that you need to get, that you have them. Adaptability is actually a very important skill, all right? Both in our personal and professional setting. It's not just something that we can use in the professional setting. It's also very important for us in our personal lives, just so that we are then able to transition better, deal with transitions better, deal with setbacks, deal with unexpected changes. COVID happened 2020. Businesses did not plan for it or anticipate it. And so some of the businesses that were then able to adjust quickly and adapt, and modify their business strategies and models were able to pull through and still closed out that year with a profit. But the ones that were not able to, we see what happened, we can see and we can tell what happened. And the same thing for individuals, those that were then able, because there was then a rising demand for remote opportunities, because there was a worldwide lockdown and people had to work from homes, and all of those things. So it speaks to how we are then able to manage those sort of setbacks, whether positively or negatively. For example, at this time, there's a lot happening with the Naira dollar FX fluctuation, not just dollar, actually, all of the FX, foreign currencies, euro, pounds, and all of that, right? And there were businesses that positioned for that towards the end of last year, this year. There were businesses that planned based off of the numbers that happened last year, maybe adjusted a bit for inflation. But now we are seeing, things are drastically going in a different direction. So it is important for us as professionals to be able to adapt to these sort of transitions, whether positive or negative, and of course, these unexpected changes, while remaining productive, while maintaining a good attitude, while maintaining, of course, a good momentum. So when we are productive, what does that do for us? We've talked about how does that then impact our performance? Of course, we've talked about how productivity enables effectiveness and efficiency. We've said that effectiveness speaks to the output, the result, and efficiency speaks to the proper utilization of the resources, all right? So when we're productive, we are then able to deliver effective and efficient performances. And of course, we are then able to achieve our goals, all right? Of course, it also then improves time management skills. How you are able to efficiently use your resources or the resources at your disposal will then impact on because time is also a resource. How you are able to manage that resource impacts on how your performance, and of course, how you are effective. And of course, this also then promotes professional growth, fosters resilience, and of course, there's that personal satisfaction that we have in knowing that we got things done. All right, and of course, let's look at the impact of adaptability. How does it then enable our performance? So we talked about how we are then able to have enhanced performance in dynamic environments. We are then able to show up and show up correctly. You know how they say in this part of the world, you come correct, right? When you show up correctly because you have then adjusted yourself and you are adaptable. All right. Of course, you are then able to make decisions on the spot. It improves your decision-making process. You have then conditioned your mind to continuously learn and grow yourself. because learning and development is not a one-off thing. What we are doing right now with YSP 3.0, with all you amazing folks, and even the mentorship sessions that will happen after now, it's not going to end when YPSP 3.0 ends. The idea is that you have then received something that you will carry on with you into the rest of the year, and of course into the rest of the years to come. Learning and development is a continuous learning journey. I can't remember who it was that said that the day we stop learning, we start dying. Because as long as you're someone who is alive and well, you need to continuously be at that place where you are learning something new. When I started my career, the very first day that we resumed, one of the partners had said to us that we should make sure that the best advice that he can give to us on how to successfully build a successful professional career is that we should make sure that we learn something new every day. All right, learn something new every day. No matter the heights you get to, make sure that every day you're learning. So, and I'm saying the same thing to you guys, make sure that every day you are learning something new, no matter how little that is, whether it is professionally. Okay, I'm not sure what's happening to the network, but I truly sincerely apologize, and I hope that it's stable for the next half hour while we'll finish up these conversations. Okay, to confirm, can you all hear me? Just checking that you all can hear me. Just give me a thumbs up. All right. Okay. Thank you, guys. So we were talking about the impact of adaptability. Fantastic. I see all the thumbs. Thank you, guys. You're amazing. All right. So, and of course, we talked about how that improves our decision making process and then helps us to be at that place where we continuously learn and grow. And of course, we are then able to solve problems as they arise. Okay. And of course, the next thing that we're going to talk about is what are the things that make up productivity and this adaptability. How do we then zero in and be sure that we are productive? All right. So the first thing is that we need to work on our focus and concentration. And in terms of focus and concentration, find out what your key distractors are and avoid them. All right. Find out what your key enhancers are and avoid them. There are environments that you learn better or you can do your best work. And there are environments that inhibit your best work. I'll use myself an example. If you put me in a noisy place on a Monday morning, I'll not be productive because the noise will interfere with the work that I want to get done. But put me in a quiet environment, I'll get a lot of work done. I have friends that work in a noisy place and they do their best work there. All right. So you have to find out what enhances or inhibits your focus and your concentration and then play to your strength. All right. So if it is noise, for example, that inhibits your focus. So when I say inhibits, it stops you from focusing and concentrating. Avoid noisy places and work in places that are quiet. If noise enhances your focus and concentration, by all means, do what works for you. And of course, we have to look at workflow optimization. Optimization is then how you are able to allocate the resources that you have or need for your workflow. All right. What are you then able to do? If you have 4 things on your backlog, for example, items 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you look at items 1 and 2, and they are the heavy deals. Heavy deals in terms of item 1 will take 3 hours to get done. Item 2 will take 1 hour to get done. Meanwhile, item 3, item 4 will take you 10 minutes and 15 minutes to get done. Optimize your workflow. Start with item 3. Sort out 10 minutes. Good. Oh, you know, there's also that satisfaction that comes with getting something done and striking it off your backlog. Go to item 4, 4 minutes, 15 minutes, get that done, strike that off, and then come back to the one that is 1 hour. And of course, remember that your workflow optimization is dependent on, if you remember your Eisenhower's matrix, tasks that are urgent, important, you have to then box them in there. Of course, if it's urgent and important, it means you need to get it done immediately. All right, irrespective of how long it's going to take you to get it done. But I'm speaking on the basis that you have these 4 tasks with the same timelines and with the same level of importance and urgency, but you know that items 3 and 4, for example, will take a shorter time to get done. Focus on it, get it done, strike it off, and come back to essentially optimize your workflow time. And of course, be at the place where you continuously improve yourself. No one knows it all. All right. For you to be productive, you have to be willing to learn. Learn not just from your colleague, not just from your bosses, even from people within your network, from people on LinkedIn, for example. ChatGPT is another place that you can learn from. And of course, we could talk about goal setting. I find that there's a research, I'm not sure that it's on this document, but there is a research that says that if you are then able to set your goals, it influences your productivity because it then gives you something to work towards. If at the beginning of the week, for example, you have your stand-up with your team members and you will have your outline of tasks for the week, it is defined for you. You see the things that you need to get done by the end of that week. Of course, if any other tasks are added to your backlog during the week, of course, that's understandable. But outlining those and then sort of like zeroing in and setting your goals for the week gives you a focal point, gives you something to work towards. So for work, you can do that for week, for the month. For your personal life, you can also then do that for the week, for the month, or for the quarter, for the year. If I ask us now, what is our goal for February? What do you want to get done by the end of February? I don't know whether it is professional or whether it's personal. Do we have something that we're working towards? Because it helps you to weed off distractions and zero in and be able to, of course, to effectively appropriate your time and every other resource that you have, your capital, for example, into getting it done. And one key element of productivity is prioritization. You have to be able to prioritize. You can't be on social media scrolling endlessly when there is work to get done. When you know that you have not listened to the recording of the last class, the weekend class you missed, you need to be able to prioritize. In this phase and season of my life, what is more important for me? How do I become more productive in my career? Does that mean spending more time on my learning and development journey and less time on social media? Whatever that looks like for you, you have to be able to prioritize and be honest with yourself. Prioritization means that we are able to tell ourselves the hard truths, right? Because sometimes we feel like, oh, maybe you've gotten the task done and like, let me just go and enjoy. Let me go and watch Netflix for 30 minutes. 30 minutes becomes 3 hours. That you are then not able, you have then prioritized your Netflix time over time that you should have used for something else. I'm not saying don't enjoy yourself. Oh, please find time to relax, step down. It's important, of course, for your general well-being. But I'm saying you have to, which is where the goal setting comes in. You have to be able to define what you need to get done at a particular point in time and able to allocate your time accordingly so that whatever time you have allocated to relaxation, for example, entertainment, you can use it for that time. But if you don't have these things defined, that's when you can go 3 hours on Netflix binge watching. When you have not defined that, 24 hours of today, I'm going to use 8 hours to sleep, for example. I'm going to use 4 hours to study. I'm going to use 2 hours to run errands. I'm going to use 30 minutes on social media, whatever that looks like for you, but it is properly defined so that you don't use You don't use your study time to run errands or run around your estate or gist with your neighbor. All right. So it's important that we prioritize, because it also then feeds into how we are able to manage our time effectively. And of course, we need to communicate with our stakeholders, with the people that are, whether at the work, on a professional level or on the personal level. Effective communication is key to productivity, because there's how that you can think that you're getting stuff done, but the people that you're reporting to at work, for example, different opinion. So you have to be able to communicate, and you have to be able to relate, articulate, speak. How they used to say it, sorosoke, right? I'm not Yoruba, so pardon that intonation if it didn't sound the way it should sound. But we need to be able to communicate effectively, both on a personal and on a professional basis level. Okay. And then we talk about elements of adaptability. We need to have an open mind, because adaptability means that sometimes you don't even know what's coming. I spoke about COVID and how that we didn't even foresee it. All right. So for you to be adaptable, you need to have an open mind, and you need to also be flexible. There are times that in an organization, maybe because of the season and the time that the organization is in, you might be required to do something that is outside of your JD, for example. Is that something that you're flexible enough to be willing to do, or you're just a one-faced person? It's only UI and UX, I know. I'm just going to fit into it. There's a place of being a subject matter expert. I understand that. But that does not mean that you are oblivious of all the other things that are happening around you. All right. You need to be flexible and also be at a place where you learn continuously, even if it's the basics that you know. If you're in working in a professional environment that you're looking to grow, in that climb, even maybe to a leadership capacity, you have to be able to understand how the business model works, for example. Be at the place where you continuously learn. Ask questions at meetings. Oh, someone presented a report. What's ABC? What's XYZ? Speak to me about this number, about this index. Be willing and open to learn. And of course, exhibit emotional intelligence. That's a whole topic on its own. I'm not going to delve into that because that's not the subject of this conversation. But it's important that we have an open mind, and we are resilient, and we are resourceful. When people are looking for solutions in your department, do they come to you, or are you the one that is always coming with problems? All right. I used to work with someone who I know that even right now, I have people like that on the team, on the BNet learning team, a number of people like that. When I know that I commit stuff to their hands and I'm like, paint a picture, this is what I want to get done. And they just roll with it and get it done. Resourceful people do all of the research. Okay. Okay. I truly do not understand what's going on with the network today. Um, But I'm just going to quickly just run through the remaining slides that we have so that we can wrap up the conversation. So just talk about strategies that we can use to enhance our productivity, deciding on tasks that we want to do, time boxing them, working on the task until the time elapses, and taking a short breaks, and of course, knowing when to take intervals to just rest and reset, and come back with a fresh mindset. And of course, I mentioned the Eisenhower's matrix earlier. I referred to it earlier when I was speaking about us being able to box our tasks into the urgent, the not urgent and important ones, the ones that we need to do immediately, the ones that are important but not urgent, we have to schedule them. The ones that are urgent but not important, we can delegate them to someone else. The ones that are not urgent and not important, we can just throw them off, because then it is not worth our time. And of course, other productivity strategies that we want to, these are things that we've talked about earlier in terms of setting clear goals, in terms of being efficient, in terms of time boxing our tasks, and of course, in terms of efficiency, and in terms of task efficiency. And we'll talk about being flexible. We mentioned it earlier, embracing change, being flexible, and being able to adapt to technology, because again, technology is also evolving, and staying updated with emerging technologies and digital tools. And of course, being able to network and build relationships is very important, that at every point in our career, we have a working professional relationship, both upward and downwards. Upward in terms of mentors, those that have gone ahead and you're looking up to them to get to where they are, and downward in terms of mentees, those that are trying to bring up to the level that you are in. Okay. And before I go to attendance updates, I'll just like to take questions. If there are questions on how we can be better productive and adaptable individuals, I think we should just put the questions in the chat box, because I'm also trying to be considerate of the remaining time that we have. I'm going to take all of the questions at the end. So if you do have questions or comments regarding how we can be, or how productivity and adaptability enables us to be better professionals and better individuals, please put the questions in the chat box and I'll come back and read it. But for now, I'm just going to do a walkthrough of the attendance updates and on a cohort by cohort basis, so that we see where we are at, and we know those of us that need to then step up for the remaining sessions that we have. All right. So as at today, these numbers does not include today's session. Okay. So after today's session, this report will be updated with those of us that showed up for the session today. But as at today, if you are below 70% on this board, on this attendance board that is on the screen, I'm starting with the business analysis cohort. I'm not going to read out the names, so just look at the screen. You can do a screenshot if you want to, but anyone who is below 70% on the attendance board on the screen at the moment, you need to make sure that you don't miss any of the sessions for the rest of the program, because you are endangering your certificate at this point. Okay. That is not to say that those that are above 70% should then go home and rest. No. I said this at the orientation session, and I'm also saying this again to everyone. Please make sure that you do not miss any of the sessions on this program, because we have packaged this program for you, and we have put together a number of resources for it. So please make sure that you show up. So this is for business analysis cohort. The next slide is for UI UX design cohort. Again, please look through. I'm going to give a few seconds. So if you want to do a screenshot, if you want to remind your fellow scholars to buckle up, remind them to show up for the next of the rest of the sessions, you can then do that. And I'm going to go to the next, the last cohort, which is the data analysis cohort. And this is what the attendance looks like. You can do a screenshot as well. What I will also do, ask the class administrators to share this document on the groups, on the WhatsApp groups by tomorrow. including the reports for today. So if we're going to then include the reports for today, you won't get it by Monday. So sometime during the week, the coming week, I'm going to ask the class admins to share an updated reports on the WhatsApp groups, right? That will include today's attendance, so that we can all see where we are at and know how we need to then position effectively for the remaining sessions. Okay. I've gone through data analysis, cohorts, UI, UX, and this is the final one. I've gone through business analysis cohort, I beg your pardon, UI, UX, and this is the data analysis cohort. In terms of what next, I'm going to walk through these slides quickly so that we can then go through questions. If you do have questions, please take out the time to type it out in the chat box. After this slide, I'm going to go and read through all of your questions and respond to them. In terms of what next, we are going to have a live CV revamp session. So we have 3 mentorship sessions for the next 3 months. The first one is happening in May, first one is happening in March, 2nd of March at 6 o'clock. The next one is happening in April, 6th of April at 6 o'clock as well. And the third one is happening in May, 4th of May at 6 o'clock. And then we will have the closeout session on the 11th of May, presentation of certificates and prizes, right? We're going to have a scholars award for each of those cohorts. So the best scholar for each of the cohorts, business analysis cohort, data analysis cohort, UI UX design, UI UX using design using Figma. This will not be done in isolation of your technical sessions. All right. So criteria: attendance 1, participation in your technical sessions that have ended, of course, the soft skill session, and then your mentorship sessions that will start next month. So the first session will be a live CV revamp session. Please come into that session with your CVs. We're getting a professional CV review expert, and she's going to be picking anybody's CV to review on the call. All right. So what I would say to everyone is come prepared, show up for that session with your laptop or your tablets, or ready to essentially update your CVs. All right. She's going to pick one person from the group, and then use that CV to do like a working review. So please show up with your CVs and show up ready to engage and participate in that session. The second session would happen in May, first Saturday in May. If you notice, all of these sessions are for the first Saturday of each of the months. The second session will happen in May. That will be a technical check-in session with your faculty members, just for them to see your progress, see where you are at, see what you have done with the knowledge that they poured out into you over 2 weekends. All right. So if you missed some classes and you haven't gone back to, even if you didn't miss classes, if you were in the classes and you need to go back to refresh your minds with the recordings, please do that ahead of the technical sessions in April. And of course, we have a career coaching session in May, where we're going to have subject matter experts from our leadership team here at Bnet Learning, and you get to ask them questions and you get to interact with them. And that's also another session that you don't want to miss. And then finally, we would have our closeout ceremony on the 11th of May, presentation of certificates to everyone who met the criteria. Again, I am stressing the 70% attendance because that's the first elimination point, okay? And of course, in conjunction with the faculty members and the class administrators on the BNet side, we will then also determine the scholars for each of the cohorts, and they will be recognized. And there just might be something for them. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Okay. So that's it on what next. I'm going to before we go to this, I'm just going to go to the chat box and take all of the questions that I have here. Let me see. My name is Love Muli. I joined today's class with the name Shalom Lee because of the email I used. Okay, Love Muli. This is well noted. I'm sure that your class administrators have noted and have tracked that. Temitope has a question, and thank you, Temitope, for always putting out comments. I know that I've seen your name. Thank you for always engaging with comments and questions. There's a question here. How do you integrate technology and tools into your workflow to boost productivity in your professional endeavor? So my question, please give me a minute. Let's find out where that sound is coming from. Okay, can everyone hear me? Okay. So how do you integrate technology and tools into your workflow to boost productivity in your professional endeavors? Tamitope, my question, my response to this question would be it depends on the type of work. Thank you, everyone. I see the emojis and the responses. What is the type of work that you do? And how can you then leverage technology into it, right? So are you a BA, for example, or are you a DA, for example? Or are you a finance professional, for example? For all of these different career pathways, there are separate technology and tools that you can embed into your workflow to boost your productivity. So you need to find out what works for your field and not adapt something because it is what everybody is using. All right. For example, ChatGPT is something that works for everybody in the sense that it can help with content, it can help with providing solutions and answers to questions. But in terms of boosting productivity, it can help reduce time, right? In terms of reducing your research time or reducing the time it would have taken you to solve a problem or to find a solution to a problem. But then in terms of integration, the first step is finding out what works for you, all right? And that might mean in your professional life at your office, for example, what tools are being used? Is that getting the job done? If not, what tools can you then adapt to get the job done? All right. So there are so many ways that you can integrate. First of all, on a personal basis or on a professional basis. But yes, you need to find out what works for you and be sure that what you're integrating is what will make your life easier and not just that you're integrating it because everybody is using, for example, everybody is using Miro. Yeah, let me use Miro, right? But you don't know that it helps you to then get your work done, even though Miro is a universal to quote and unquote like that. All right. Please can we get the class videos downloadable? Adobe, we can't make them downloadable. What we can do is give you access because it's not our policy to make them downloadable for you. Okay. So what we can do is give you access, and I know that we have already done that. So you can then go in and watch as many times as you can, but we can't make the videos downloadable for you. I hope that that answers your question. Let me see if we have any question here. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, folks. If we do not have any questions, I think that it will be safe for us to say that we will call it a day here. And the next session we will be having will be on Saturday, the 2nd of March. And that will be the CV revamp and life review session. But if you have any questions at all, comments or feedback between now and that time, please feel free to put them in the chat box, put them on your WhatsApp groups, okay? There are class admins on your WhatsApp group. We also have members of the BNet team on the WhatsApp groups, and we will be there to respond to your questions or comments or feedbacks that you have in preparation for the session. But remember that you're coming into the session on the 2nd of March with your CV. So if you don't have a CV between now and that time, you have 2 weeks to go put one together, and then we can all come in at the live review session and see how we can better position ourselves to be professionals, better professionals that will be productive and adaptable and in the face of challenging times and seasons. All right, I wanted us to end on the dot of 8 o'clock, and I succeeded with that. Thank you so much, everyone, for being on the call. Like I said, during the week, we're going to share an update of the attendance so we can all see where we stand and make adjustments if need be. And looking forward to see everyone on the call on the 2nd of March. Have an amazing, amazing weekend. And please continue to invest in your learning and professional growth and journey. Philip, I celebrate you. Philip Abubakar Temitope. Thank you guys for always responding. Thank you for always asking questions and responding with comments. And I'll see everyone 2nd of March. Thank you. Bye.